Hey, what's going on YouTube? MechlordGames here today, coming at you with a video of 10 really stupid cards that Konami never should have made. So we're going to go through the monsters first. So we're going through 10 cards that were just the biggest waste of cards Konami ever could have made. Chainsaw Insect. At the start of the damage step, if this card attacked or was attacked, your opponent draws one card. There is no reason to play a card that, when it attacks, your opponent gains advantage. Sure, it's a 2400 attack point monster. This card was really only useful in skill drain dot deck. But at this point, when would this card ever be good? As of right now, it seems like one of the most useless cards in the game. You know, if your point is to let your opponent get a bunch of hand advantage, well, here's your card. For the Worm archetype, we have Room Rakuya. This card can only declare an attack during the turn and is flipped face up. If this card attacks, it is changed to face down defense position at the end of the battle phase. Really not a good card for worms. Yeah, I mean, it's still a worm card. It can be useful, but really, when are you going to actually want to have this over, like, the better monsters, like Yagan and Zax and Kataros? When are you going to want this over them? Almost never. Red Eyes Black Chick. Back in the old days, when this card, wasn't getting hated on by the rest of their archetype, Red Eyes Black Chick was actually good. It was just a monster you could tribute summon to special summon a Red Eyes Black Dragon from your hand. Now, it has nothing to do with the rest of the deck. It doesn't do anything for the rest of the deck, and the deck just has all this potential. Even back then, when people were playing Red Eyes, like, not many people were actually playing Red Eyes Black Chick because, well, no one thought of it. It wasn't there, really, at the time when that card was actually possible to be used, and the decks were just better, and there was better combos to use at the time, and like there was a lot of better cards that were actually good. Red Eyes Black Chick, I mean, was just like, if you had it in hand and you didn't have Red Eyes, well, Red Eyes Black Chick is just dead. So Red Eyes Black Chick, not a very good effect. If it was special summon Red Eyes Black Dragon from your hand, deck, or graveyard, it would actually be really good, and would probably still be used today to some form of degree by cheap Yu-Gi-Oh players who want to summon a decent level 7 monster at 2400 attack pretty easily. But nope, since it summons it from the hand, it's bad. Sinister Serpent. Back in the old days, this card, before it got its effect changed, was pretty decent with the whole Yatagarasu lock. Now that Yatagarasu doesn't exist and Sinister Serpent has changed, now it's one of the most useless monsters, because during your standby phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can add it to your hand. Also banish one Sinister Serpent from your graveyard during your opponent's next end phase. You can only use this effect of Sinister Serpent once per turn. Now, I did actually just remember that it did come off the ban list, so it could possibly be okay again, but you'd have to have all three in the graveyard. And there's not many times you're actually going to have all three in the graveyard. So, it's really not a good card anymore. Oguchi. At the time, in the old days, this card was actually quite interesting, because it was one of the few monsters that could attack your opponent's life points directly and get around big monsters. But the thing was, this was only really useful in an end-game situation when your opponent's got a monster that's way bigger and you can't get over it. Nowadays, that's never an issue. Cards like this, well, that can attack your opponent's life points directly. There's not very many cards out there that do this to this day that are actually useful. Oguchi was one of the original monsters, aside from Jinzo 7, that actually had the ability to attack directly. But nowadays, this card's bad, there's nothing that can use it, there's nothing that can use it effectively, and it doesn't do anything else aside from 300 damage a turn directly. Paralyzing Potion, a non-machine type monster equipped with this card cannot attack. Back in the old days, this was like the anti-meta card. Monsters couldn't attack, yada yada yada. Which was okay. But why restrict non-machine monsters? Like, why make it restrict towards just a non-machine monster equipped with this card cannot attack? There was no point in this card, and it was a good anti-meta card to stop attacking, but really, if that was your big play, like, you should not have been playing Yu-Gi-Oh in the first place. Acid Downpour, a field spell. So, an earth monster all earth monsters lose 500 attack and gain 400 defense. There's not many things I could think that this would be useful in. Why would you want to lose attack points? I mean attack points like the fundamentals of your game. Like if you're playing like an old rock defense deck with like the stone statue of the Aztecs, like I mean maybe this card at one point was useful, but I just don't see any reason for this card to really exist. Fake Trap. You can only activate this card when your opponent uses an effect of a spell, trap, or effect monster to destroy a trap card on your side of the field. Destroy this card as a substitute of those trap cards, and the other trap cards are not destroyed. If a set card would have been destroyed, pick up and see the set card. So, I never really figured out what the point was of this card. It never did anything. Like Mystical Space Typhoon was only limited to 1. Heavy Storm was limited to 1, but there was no good traps. Like really back in the days that Fake Trap actually existed and was printed a lot. Really, there was not that many cards that were good traps, except Trap Hole, which only destroys 1,000 or less, I think. Actually, sorry, destroys a normal summon monster. That's what it was. But really, like at the time, that card was okay, but you only had like very few options to get rid of cards. So Fake Trap, bad, definitely. Malfunction. Pay 500 life points, negate the activation of a trap card, and return it to its original position. That's terrible. At any point, why would you want to negate the activation of a trap and reset the card? Because it could just be used yet again. It could really just be used again, and like, okay, you pay 500 points for cost, negate the activation, return to its original position. It's just going to get used again. Like, when is that ever going to be good? And then we skipped over this card, House of Adhesive Tape. If the defense of a monster summoned by your opponent, excluding special summon, is 500 points or less, the monster is destroyed. In the metagame, when would this card be good? Back then, most monsters had at least, 1,000, 1,200 defense, at least. Like, the average monster played by most Yu-Gi-Oh players was over 500. There's very few things that were less than. So, why would this card have even been played or even made? That point is beyond me. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think of this video, and if you want to see me talk about more useless cards, let me know, because honestly these cards are pretty useless and pretty garbage, at least at this point in time.